Howdy, I'm Grey Pilgrim. Well, if you saw my video last week, which was actually recorded several weeks ago, you'll notice that my face is not as bad as it was. That's because I've been using a product called Arnica. It's a derivative of a mountain daisy that grows in southern France. Anyway, I'm muddling through. I'm doing okay. You know, it never did hurt all that bad. Other than I did wound my left eye, so it looks a little bloodshot at the moment. But it's improving. Anyway, I got a tale to tell. The time is about 1919, 1920. World War I just ended. The Allied powers have gathered in Versailles to decide on what to do with the defeated powers of the Central Powers, specifically Germany and Austria. And, well, the first thing they did is they established a commission. And the job of the commission was to deal with German armaments. Well, first of all, they split up the spoils of war. They took what they wanted and took them to their home countries. This still left millions and millions of tons of wartime supplies and ordnance laying around. Well, first of all, they determined that Germany could only have an army of 100,000. That was what they determined was all that was needed for internal police work throughout their country or their holdings. And since they just got rid of all their colonies by absconding with them from the Allied side, well, that just left Germany. Well, and they went around to the various factories, and there was a lot of arms factories in Germany. And one of them, see, they were all in the Ruhr Valley. Ruhr Valley is to Germany what the Connecticut Valley is to the U.S., an arms-making haven. And Mauser Works was down there. They went over to Mauser Works and said, well, look at this. You've got all this tooling to make G98s, Gewehr-98s, the main battle rifle the Germans in World War I. Get rid of it. And by treaty, we tell you to get rid of it. Well, Mauser was looking around and thinking, we are going broke. We got to get some money for this. So they put out tenders, bid tenders for their tooling for the G98. And some engineers that used to work for the old Imperial Russian factories or families that were Czech in origin were set up in Brno with the Imperial Czech arms factory there that later took on the commercial name CZ. And they said, well, we'll give you a bid for it. So they bought all the tooling for the G98 and shipped it off to Brno. And they started making a almost line-for-line copy of the G98. This is it. This is a VZ-24. This is the Czechoslovakian G98. And how close is it to the G98? Well, for example, here is the bolt off of a VZ-24. Looks just like a Gewehr-98 bolt. I don't have a Gewehr-98, but I do have a rebuilt K98K. Has the wrong bolt on it. Every part is mismatched, but these are all German-made parts. And I can pull the bolt off of this rifle and put it right in this one. And it'll work. You know, it works just fine. Remind me to put it in the gun it belongs in. Anyway, later on in World War II, when Germany decided to take over Czechoslovakia, they used that to their advantage and had the Czechs make them K98Ks in that factory. And there's another one in the Slovak. I forget the town it's in. But on the Slovak side, there was another factory, an armaments factory that was making G98s. Well, they tooled over and made K98Ks. But before that, the Czechs were arming all of Eastern Europe and well, the world with their copies of the Mausers. Well, Mauser looked at that and thought, hey, you know, we could make a business out of selling tooling if we can't sell the guns. So they sold tooling to Turkey. I've got a Turkish Mauser. Greece got some. Argentina, Spain, I mean, you name it, the country that wanted to make a Mauser rifle, they bought their tooling from Mauser. And they sold a whole bunch of the tooling sets all over the world, which is interesting. But the Czechs themselves, they came up with many, many different variants on this. They come up with their own Kurtz or carbine version, which was the what became, I've got one, it's called a King Carroll carbine, and it's basically a carbine version of the G98. It's not up to K98K pattern, but it's a beautiful old world rifle and quite interesting. But it's just interesting to watch that evolution and how it progressed. And the CZ, well, this is called a VZ-24. VZ comes from the Czech word vzor, which means model. So this is model 24, or in Czech, the VZ-24. You will see all of the weapons that are used by the Czech army today called VZ something, because that's their designation. Their commercial ones, like the CZ-75, CZ-70, CZ-85, all those various pistols, that's their brand name. That's for the CZ factory. I don't know what CZ stands for, really. I mean, I don't speak Czech, but I know a little bit of Croatian, mostly cuss words, but no Czech. Anyway, the VZ-24, a very nice copy of the Ger98 from Germany. And I mean, it has a few differences on it. The way these barrel bands are installed, for instance, or I think the front sight is different. But, you know, some of the little things like the rear sight, the bolt, everything here, you could just take it apart and put parts from a G98 in here and they would work just fine. Which Germany saw and loved and sort of took for themselves. Anyway, that's what I got to talk about today. The evolution of the Czech firearm industry, as it were. And I'm fine. I mean, I look terrible, but I'm on the mend. Happy trails.